Today we will learn the preprocessor directives in C. Let's understand first the life cycle of a C program. So this chart is explaining that uh, first the source code, that means your .c file, is fed to uh, so when you compile your source code, then what happens? That is, first the source code actually acts upon by preprocessor. What does preprocessor do? It actually expands your code. What is expansion? That is, uh, in your code, suppose you include hash include std io.h, and this the codes inside this header file is actually imported in your source program file. That is, whatever inside the header files you include, that codes the that codes are imported to your program. And also people does some macro expansion. So what is macro, etc., you will learn later. So for now, you just remember that preprocessor expands the source code. For that only, if you have only one single printf statement in your C code, now when you will compile your program, then you can observe that uh, it is like 400 lines are compiled like this. So why so many lines are compiled? Though your program has only one line, so actually your code is expanded by the preprocessor before actual compilation. So before actual compilation, your code is expanded by preprocessor. Now compiler acts on this expanded code. Extension of expanded code is .i, that is from .c, and .i file is produced by preprocessor. Okay. Now compiler acts on this file, and compiler produced an assembly code, which is not a machine code. It is not a machine code. It is some intermediate form. On this assembly code, assembler acts upon. Assembler actually finally produce the machine code. After that, linker comes into place. If at runtime some functions are called, some library files, some library functions are required, so that linking is done by the linker. After all this thing, the executable code is generated. So it is the overall life cycle of a C program. Now, what does preprocessor acts at the first step, right? Before the actual compilation, preprocessor comes into place. Now, how does preprocessor acts? First, the C program is fed into the preprocessor. Preprocessor checks if there is any preprocessor directives, that is hash include is there or any macro is there. So if there is no such thing, then it will be directly compiled. Otherwise, it will be pre-processed to form the expanded code. Then it is compiled, and finally the executable code is produced by the linker. So there are some preprocessor directives which actually tell the compiler to pre-process the source code before compiling. Okay, so they just act as a guide to the compiler. All of these preprocessor directives begin with a hash symbol. For example, hash include. Uh, okay, there are four main types of preprocessor directives: macros, file inclusion, conditional compilation, and other directives. Macros. In the example, you can see that uh, here limit is defined, has defined is a macro definition tag. Okay, it is a preprocessor it is a preprocessor directive. Now it defines limit as 5. So whenever inside your program this limit is found, it is actually replaced by 5. So what does has defined do? It defines limit as 5. Whenever limit is found inside your program, it is replaced by 5. So macros are a piece of code in a program which is given some name. Whenever this name is encountered by the compiler replaces the name with the actual piece of code. Okay? And you have to remember that there is no semicolon at the end of the macros. Okay? So passing arguments to the macros. It is argumented macros are similar to function, but it is not a function. It is, for example, uh, here this entire area L comma B is defined as L into B. It is inside your program, whether this form is found, it will be replaced by this form. Okay. Now here we can see that here it is area L1 comma L2 and L1 is 10, L2 is 5. So what? So then the processor actually does this. Then the processor replaces this in this form. L1 into L2, and it calculates the area of the rectangle. So this form is defined by this form. Okay. Now whenever the compiler sees this form, then it is replaced by L1 into L2. Okay. So it is called argumented macros. But for the small functions, you can replace that with the argumental macros. But if the function is complex, it is not advisable to replace the function by macro. Okay. These are some predefined macros: underscore date, time, file, line, etc. So you can also try to print the values. Okay. Uh, for example, date will give you the current date, time, date. Okay. Now file inclusion. There are two types of file inclusion. One is hash include inside the Angular basis file, and hash include double quotes file. If the file you include is inside the Angular basis, then it is generally used to import the header files. Actually, the then this file is searched in the system libraries. Okay, there are some system defined library files are kept inside one directory by default in C. So if your file is included inside this Angular basis, then your file will be searched inside that directory containing the system library files or header files. And if your file is inside these double quotes, then the file is first searched uh, inside the current directory where you are writing the code. And if this file is found there, it is fine. Otherwise, it will then search this file in the directory having the library files, okay, or header files. Okay, so two different types of hash include inside Angular bases. Then this file will be searched in the directory having the library files, and double quotes. Inside double quotes, it will then search in your current directory. If it doesn't find the file there, it will search there in the directory having the library files. Okay. Now there are some conditional compilation. There are some people's directives that will do conditional compilation. There is a people's directive like hashif. Uh, it is if the expression is true, then some code will be precompiled. There is also hashes. So instead of going to the theory, we see one example. Then it will be clear. So hash define A100. If A100, then the first printf will be executed, else the second printf will be executed, and this hash should be ended with hash md preprocessor directive. Now you may ask me this question: then what is the difference between hashif and the normal if else? The difference is preprocessor directive is actually pre-compiled. Whatever inside this if block is actually pre-processed before the compilation of the code. So, uh, so actually the and now normal if only does the conditional checking and at the runtime. So it is pre-compiled, but so the difference is hashing is pre-compiled, and you can also do conditional compiling by using hashing. That is, based on the condition inside the hashing directive, certain portion of the code might be compiled, other portions might not be compiled. For example, uh, okay, so 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 in this way, you can use hashing and hash else uh, directive. Also, there is elif also. It is the similar to else if that is if year score is less than 10, then check on the net is the get resource. If elif year score is greater than 10, then this. Okay, so okay, so I think this example is self-explanatory for this elif. Okay? If def and if and def. So instead of going to theory, let's see the example. Here, Raju is defined as 100. So I am checking whether Raju is defined or not. So if it is defined, then inside the corresponding code inside the if-def will be executed. Otherwise, the code inside the else will be executed. So why is useful? Suppose I have a large when I will work when we will work in industry, then your program will consist of several files. And suppose you are in one file and uh, you don't sure that whether some particular word is defined or not. Okay, so then if it is undefined, then you have to define that in your code. So in this case, you can use this if-def. So if it is defined, then it is okay. Otherwise, else you can forcefully define that inside your code. Okay? And there is also another clause if and def. So it checks it is true when the particular word is not defined. So here Selva is not defined. So this condition is true. So the control will go to this block. It will printf Selva is not defined. So now we are going to define here. So then I am defining Selva 300. So uh, so if in your code, so if you are working through several files and if one word is not defined, then you can check that and you can define it in your file. Okay. There are some other directives. It is called undef. Suppose uh, suppose your program consists of 5 files. Okay. Uh, now according to your business logic, the uh, for example, suppose loan home loan is was 6%. The interest on home loan was 6% uh, in the earlier year. Okay, so then this interest was defined as 6%, but now in this year the interest that is changed. So what I have to do? I will first underhide, so it will ignore whatever the earlier values. Then I will redefine height. Okay, so here this height was defined as 100. Now, so I am first undefined height. So this value will be ignored. Then I am re redefining height as 600. Okay, so it is the usefulness of unleft hash header. So suppose if you want to throw some user some error to the user for better understanding. Suppose suppose your program only accept uh, people whose age is less than 50 years. So there's a check here. If age is less than 50, then your program will throw an error on the error on the console that age should be less than 50 years. It is possible. So now so another directive is pragma. Pragma directive is actually compiler dependent. So its behavior actually varies compiler to compiler. Okay. Suppose here, if you suppose in this program, if you use Turbo C compiler, okay, then by using pragma, you can call one function before main. Okay, So here pragma startup function one. So when the program is started, then first function one will be called. Then main will be called. Then your function two. Okay. So but this thing is not supported in the NC compiler. So in the NC compiler, it is not supported. Yeah, GCC doesn't support Pragma, uh, startup or exit, and there are also some more features of Pragma. So please go through this link. Okay, in this link, you can have many other interesting features of Pragma. Okay. Okay. Now, preprocessor operators. There are some operators in, that we can use in preprocessors. So one is the continuation operator. Suppose my inside the hash define, the line is very long. So then I can, instead of writing this entire line in one single line, I can. Hello. Yes, speaking. Sure, sure. Okay. Okay.